All right, we're live.
You're suddenly here. Okay, great. But is this? But what about the one on that page though? I don't understand, Oleg.
So the
The
one
one.
that I had originally set up under my account, I've put a redirect there.
Okay.
And
But the one on that page here does not seem to be started.
yeah, so that
Like it's very clear the one. Huh?
so I'm just
This
updating
page here.
those. Okay, so confusing. Okay, so live link in the pad is now correct. And I'm tweeting this to
But why? But the one. No, but before you tweet it, don't tweet it. Just check. In the one that I've linked you to just now in the sidebar of this Hangout, why is that not started?
that one. That's
Oh,
the
it
one
is
we're in.
started now.
No, that's the right one. That's the right one.
Okay,
That's the one
we're in it now. Okay, great. Okay, great, well done. So it is Paul Walsh and Anna. This we need to do a better job of being these. Uh, it's quite tricky. It is very. I think Anders knows this from past experience. Do we want to stop recording until we know we have to be live now, right? Great.
No, I don't think it's
We'll maybe cut this. We'll maybe edit the video. We can edit the video next time.
sure. This is
So we should have other people here. But so like join. I'll say. Okay, I'm just going to try and find. Great. And I think we want to bold. The thing we want people to really click is the live link, right?
Yep.
Wonderful. I think you've not corrected it in the Etherpad somehow, man. I don't know. I don't understand. Like, well, he says he's gone to another one. This is really weird.
Let me just make sure. So I'm going to just message the viewers. Please go to. So anyone who's in the wrong one, I'm messaging them the correct link now. So they should get a post and email a notification. And I'm now deleting the wrong one.
That's fine.
Hi.
Hello.
Hey.
Hey. I don't know where I got to, but I got to an empty hangout somewhere.
Yep. Hi, Paul. Sorry about that. Still having bootstrap trouble. I don't know how else to.
Yeah, it's like last time, but yeah, okay, we'll get there.
Yep. But hopefully this time we're in a good place, and we're all set up for a regular monthly occurring event. So.
Awesome. Oleg, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, hi. So we've talked on GitHub, but yeah, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too. Hey, Paul.
And Anders, hi.
Yeah, very good to meet you.
Yeah, nice to meet you. I had a brief meeting with you once a few years ago in context of a public knowledge workshop with budget.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, yeah. Hey.
Okay, let me get.
Very good what you guys are working on.
Yeah.
Let me just Anna Alberts. Okay. I'm also going to email GFN Labs with the Hangout link right now. Okay. The direct link. This is the right live link. Great. Okay. Here we have to start 5 minutes earlier, like you and I, like still in this. We have such okay. Okay, done.
We just set up the next one right now during this call, and the link is there, and it's all waiting for us for next one.
Awesome. So Anders, I don't know, I invited Anders, this kind of a merge also with the open spending ones, which I think we're going to do a better job. I think we may just regularly merge and have part of this be open spending, but Anders, I invited you if there was anything you wanted to share about generally, but around extractors or just anything you wanted to update about like data and extractors. I think it's a really interesting area for everyone, irrespective of, I mean, it relates particularly to financial stuff, but that was the idea. If there's any thing you want to share and share screen or whatever, and of course you are live. We will put this on our YouTube channel. You'll be a legend. Okay, over to you.
Amazing. Yeah. So so basically, I joined NRGI about 6 months ago, and we've spent a good amount of time. So NRGI is Natural Resource Governance Institute. As an organization, we work across a number of different fields within extractives, on anything from advocacy to like policy influence analysis, but we're also starting to do a lot more on data. So what I can share with you, and I'll dump in a few of the links. I have a bit of a cold that I caught, so I might be coughing a little bit. But basically, what I wanted to share is 3 different, or probably 2 different table ideas, which don't have a lot of substance at the moment, but which kind of touch on at least some of the work that that you guys that will overlap with, especially like open spending and some of the work that you've been doing on data packages. So I think to give a little more of background on extractives, essentially the space is very much affected by the fact that there's not a lot of standardization of data. So there is a lot of data, but it's rarely collected in very meaningful ways. So that means we have sort of a lot of the issues that other budget activists has, is a lot of PDFs, a lot of it is non-standardized, and so actually deriving meaningful analytics is quite an extensive task. But
Sorry,
just to draw, yeah, no, go ahead.
Can I just to be precise, when you're saying the data is not standardized, you're saying inside of open spending itself, not just financial.
No, I'm talking about sort of the extractives data space. So, for example, if the World Bank, if IMF, if Sierra Leone, if they're looking at what are my revenues from these specific mines, it's not easy for a member of the public in Sierra Leone or for a member of the Ministry of Finance to just go to the web and find out what kind of revenue should I get for this type of mine. That's a non-trivial exercise to do today, and that's because we don't have good enough standards and we don't have good enough data out there. Well, that's sort of the usual complaint that we always have. So that's obviously not an excuse for dealing with it. And what we've been kicking around a little bit, I'm just sharing sort of some visuals that will give some kind of idea of what type of data we're looking at just as a start. And those are not like particularly fancy, but it's basically we're starting at the point of saying like how do extractive revenues compare to a lot of other things around the national budget, for example, around aid and other things. And for a lot of that work, not to go too much into the technical parts, we're right now looking at how to use data packages more sort of as a more elaborate approach for doing that. So basically, like as we start to map out which kind of data that we need to explain meaningful stories at national level on extractives, how can we use various data packages to collect that data and disseminate it as sort of as an easy process. And so that could definitely, that's taking us a bit of time to get to that point, but I think that's definitely like one direction we're looking at. So what could that mean concretely? could mean, for example, World Bank indicators, governance indicators across countries. Get that in as a data package so that that could be compared to sort of extracted revenues. And there could be others as well. We don't have the full laundry list yet. Another one could be commodity prices. So there's already gold prices within gold prices already data packaged, but we'd be really interested in starting to possibly collect commodity prices across and go get those in, so that you can look at how is for Sierra Leone, how are their revenues affected by the fact that they have a big iron ore mine, and how have iron ore prices affected sort of the budgetary impact. So those are sort of some of the things that we're kicking around. We don't have as I said, we don't have a long laundry list of data sets that we know, but probably the next step would be to start doing that more formally and like basically start tracking that as a bunch of GitHub tickets. So I'll stop there for now, but sort of I think that's at the moment the most exciting part of it, and the one that has sort of the best overlap to some of the work that's done in the community.
Great, thanks a lot, Anders. So just one more clarification point. Rufus and you have put in a couple of links, but is there a good link to go to kind of read up on some of these, some of the roadmap and directions? You just put that as well into the chat.
Yeah, well, not to the chat. Anders, could I invite you to put it into the Etherpad? There's actually I've actually been trying to take notes on what you were just saying. Please correct it if I've been trying to scribe for you there. Because actually one of the things also be nice, we'll start publishing recaps of these at least to the list or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. Great. Okay. Sorry, back. Can I ask a couple of quick questions quickly? So, you know, yeah, no, I mean, I'll let you also add the things, but I'm just really fascinated. I mean, the thing here is basically what. I mean, as I understand it about extractors, I mean, one of the things is you've got. I mean, this is just this huge amount of money. I mean, this is what's I think so exciting about it. If I understand it, it's just this vast amount. You know, most of the world's biggest corporations now basically deal in extractors. They might, you know, gold, oil, gas, etc. And so these are huge financial flows, and they're financial flows that often link to some of the most, which are the least, you know, sometimes capable of you know, governance times. And being commodity dependent creates all this relationship with extractives because of the volatility in commodity prices. Means there's just a lot of impact. You know, my understanding is like Ghana, which has a lot of this. Am I right? Gold and other extractives revenue. Yep. I mean, maybe you could just tell us for a couple of minutes, like what's going on in Ghana over the last couple of years. What's happened, and why is data relevant to that? Yeah.
So Ghana is a really interesting story in the sense of like it's a very good governed country in Africa on average. It's democratic. It has good institutions. It has a free press. And it used to be dependent on gold, but had a really big oil find in, I think, around 2006 or something like that. So it's been scaling up oil production. And what we are witnessing now is, one, falling commodity prices, but also sort of some of the stuff that's very popular in the academic literature to discuss, which is sort of what you call Dutch disease, or basically the tendency of governments to overspend on the excitement and expectation that money will flow. So basically this spring, as we're speaking, like IMF is finalizing a loan package to Ghana. And sort of this was a bit something that everyone was certain that Africa was over. But IMF is back. And that means that, that means that like that sort of the entire thing around governance is sort of complicated and complex, but there are not really a lot of black and white answers. So basically, some of the stories we've been told, and also some of the stories that are important in extractives are sort of, rogue dictatorships that will sign contracts behind closed doors with huge corruption. And what we're increasingly starting to deal with is sort of much more complex situations of governments overspending, maybe do a slightly bad deal, and so forth. But yeah, commodity prices are certainly important. Basically, in Ghana, they're going to cut all the savings that the Ghana government had planned for this year. So basically, all the good long-term plans of like creating a Norwegian model of like wealth accumulation, they're not working this year, and that's thanks to the commodity prices.
And just, I get it, exactly. It's a great point, which is in Ghana case, but basically better. So what's happened is basically there's been a mismatch because of poor modeling or just unexpected events. But in commodity prices, there's a huge impact on that economy. And what one is also getting is that maybe better understanding and better public understanding in Ghana, for example, might have led to more responsible fiscal policies, or just more debate and understanding of what the implications would be. Is that the case? Who knows?
Who knows? But definitely you have a lot of the same challenges as in other countries where you start to develop a quite significant national oil company. Who is actually in control of that? Where should the national oil company drill? Those governance structures are incredibly complicated, and when they're then under suddenly huge structural stress due to prices, that becomes a real trigger for sort of the challenges.
Well, thank you, Ansgar. I took that a bit long, but thank you so much. Okay, but Oleg, back to you.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks a lot, Anders. It's really fascinating and lots of interesting stories to share. That's also really cool. I'm really excited to see how things go, and especially how your work with open spending also develops. So so as people are joining the Etherpad and putting in some additional things onto the agenda into real time, which is great. Next up, we have Paul Walsh, who's actually going to talk to us about the open spending roadmap. And Paul, you're all set.
Yeah, I'm here. Hey. Okay, so I put some links into the Etherpad here. Looks like everyone on the call has a lot of context on open spending. So yeah, project's been running for quite a number of years. In recent times, over the last year or so, there's been a lot of talk about re-architecting parts of the system. In the last few months, things are gathering steam from some other interested parties and in general internally into developing an actual work plan along various enhancements that have been tossed around over the last year or so. I'm now working with Rufus to help formalize a kind of work plan of how we're going to move forward over the next year, half a year to year. Initial thoughts of that are in the first link. I'll include it in the chat here as well. Just hold on. Some initial direction on a first MVP.
You could also share screen just for people who are watching. If you do share screen, that can be quite useful.
What, on the Etherpad?
No, in Google Hangout, because then it will be part of the broadcast. If you want to display a particular screen, you could just share screen, right?
Oh, sure, but it's just a link to a forum. So
sure.
Yeah,
I just wanted watching the Hangout won't get the link.
Rightio. Okay, so hold on. Where's screen sharing in here?
Just move your mouse to the left and then click the green icon.
Green. Okay, cool. Awesome. Okay, yeah, so I was just talking about the Etherpad. Here is the section. So I just provided a link here to the Open Knowledge forums. There's a discussion thread there.
If you click on it, just because it's got a nice picture. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm moving there now. Here's one of the initial architectural diagrams. There's a lot of things going on there. We're having a discussion here in this thread on how we can actually distill these ideas into a minimum viable product to move towards over the next sort of 6 months or so. There's just a discussion there now. I haven't focused on it much in the last week or so, but we're really welcoming anyone to come in and join in there and help us kind of map out a roadmap there. Following on from that, there's another discussion thread on the same forum where we're inviting people to share some use cases and user stories. Not a lot going on there at the moment, but we really would love to get some more input there, particularly things that possibly someone would want to do with open spending but can't be achieved right now with the current system. Lastly, we're trying to capture changes in the open spending enhancement proposals. I recently added a proposal which outlines some guidelines for how we should make proposals to go forward. Not all of the previously existing proposals fit those guidelines, but going forward, as we make suggestions for the new system, we will first be presenting them as draft enhancement proposals, and hopefully get some good feedback and discussion on that. Friedrich's been raised some really good points around open spending data package, which is spread out across the mailing list and the GitHub issue tracker at the moment, and anyone else wants to join in, and that'll be great. That's pretty much the status now. Over the next say week or two, I'll probably become a lot more active with trying to flesh out that roadmap and engage in kind of more critical decisions around open spending data package. That's it from me.
Awesome, Paul. Just wondering, is there kind of a rough estimate how many kind of active communities are using? How many communities are using open spending actively around the world? How many groups?
Rufus will have a better accurate estimate than me.
I think so. We've seen at least 20 to 25 deployments of where does my money goes around the world. In terms of data sets, what's weird, and something we really want to act on, is there's about a data set every 2 days that gets uploaded into open spending if you track uploads now. I mean, it's grown. I mean, the database is doubling, has continued to double about every 9 months. So I think one of the things right now also is, so there's a fairly looks clean. There's a fairly oh yeah, sorry, these are comments coming up. Exactly. There's
sorry, I was coming.
So I think so there's fairly kind of significant ongoing growth. I think one of the things we're kind of aware of is that we want to more systematically connect. There's another kind of issue in the discussion forum about just talking with the data wranglers who are contributing and just connecting with them a bit more systematically, and about what data sets we want to get into open spending. In the same way there's an OpenStreetMap curation team, and we need a bit of a curation team to help people a bit more and get stuff in. And the other aspect is we do know we want to do this migration to the new platform relatively quickly, at least on the ETL side, because we know that the ETL, the experience of getting data into open spending, is quite painful, and we've known that for a couple of years, and now we're really going to fix it. And that's one thing I would like to kind of, if I could just add to Paul's comments here, so just to make an end point there. So you asked a question, I think I've ended it. Just moving on to the second point, in the link Paul shared, I think about the if people have got it, the one about the roadmap. If people are in that one, and maybe I can quickly just share my screen. Here we go, share. Can people see okay? Can people see this page?
Looks fine, Rufus.
Yep.
Great. So I think the key thing is the spike solution. We're really clear, I think, pretty much the 101 solution of spending is I've got a CSV, I want it visualized or searchable. Just the 101 is the speed that we can get someone through that 1, 2, 3 of I've got a data file, I want to upload it, and I want to have a nice visualization out of it as the kind of just 101 test of a Spike solution for this. And that's what's going, that's what this is in particular. If I scroll down, what is the minimum viable thing we can do that? I mean, really make that experience really fantastic, really wonderful, really great feedback to users about what's wrong with their file. I mean, having sat now in, so it's this section here, these minimal viable product options here. I'll stop screen sharing. Having sat with users now, I'm sure others have, night after night, I would do it a couple of years ago, not at night, but every month for a night at Open Data Maker Nights. That is that thing of just like, we really want to give a great experience of like, oh, your CSV is a little bit wrong, can you do this? And then bam, they got the result, and all of that, in a few, perfect world, a few minutes, certainly, if they have the feedback in half an hour, and without bugs, without issues, without confusions over what dimensions or attributes are. And so that minimum viable product of speed to visualization is where we're starting from, and I think we're going to aim for. And I think the other aspect is the move to the simple data store model that we have based on flat files, S3 data packages, is going to also yield immense scalability and resilience, and resolve the issues which are frames of size, which is that the API has got a bit less reliable as we've got to like 30 million plus transactions. And it's really growing. I mean, we have seen exponential growth, and that's what I want. I mean, I think is exciting. This is the moment. Yeah. Anyway, that's it for me.
Brilliant. Does anyone else have questions for Paul? I see Friedrich actually mentioned regarding deployments, he writes in the chat, some are fairly big. Japan has 180 plus. Germany has 3 dozen.
And Rufus is on a Mac.
Yeah, I think that's a separate thing. And but basically, yeah, thanks a lot, Friedrich. And it's awesome to hear that open spending is growing strong. And if there's kind of ways for people in labs to get involved in open spending, I'm thinking there's probably a lot of overlap with projects like Good Tables or DAT, especially when it comes to data loading. So let's think about that as well. I mean, I guess we should just encourage everyone who is a labs member to have a look at the architecture proposed and post a comment.
Sure. There's some other tooling coming soon around data package based on other projects that are being worked on, and obviously it ties in with stuff like Good Tables, but also a bunch of other tooling that we have around. So yeah, part of formulating the roadmap and also componentizing the whole structure is to be able to have very clear areas that the people could contribute to particular areas without having to grok the whole system. People could focus, like I'm currently focusing on ETL stuff, so people could focus more on particular components rather than the whole shebang.
So you're talking about like custom visualizers, user interface modifications, as well as architecture.
Yeah. Ideally, it'll get to a stage where there'll be a few levels, like a flat file store. Maybe things like an OLAP cube and stuff as a different service, like we've been talking about a bit with Friedrich. Maybe people could focus particularly on visualization without having any reference to the rest of the stack. Do visualizations directly off data packages on the flat file store, or visualizations directly off an OLAP API, an API that exposes aggregates and stuff. Just breaking things into components so people can focus on particular skills and needs, actually.
I'd just like to ask one last question, but hopefully it's not too much of a rabbit's hole. But comparing budget data across countries on the big open spending instance, is that also something you guys are planning to improve?
Sure. Sure, it's a huge rabbit hole, obviously, but yeah, we're tossing around a lot of stuff. Yeah. Rufus?
I mean, I think one actually, if I could use that as an excuse for one last link on this one, which is, I think, that's like the holy grail, right? Which is, I mean, it's not that difficult to do if the things are nicely classified in the same way. Are you guys hearing me okay?
Yeah,
I'm
just
hearing you.
No.
Yes.
Okay. So basically, and it's the holy grail of that stuff. And what it requires is the quality of data and it to be like against those lines. So yeah, that's the big thing there. And I'm just now finding the open spending. What is open spending? I'll just put this link in to the chat. But I think in this link it has some stuff about the quality of data, particularly the near term. Particularly if you look in this link, there's this thing about the quality spectrum. There's this standard classification. The big thing in your way is normally having your budget data standardly classified compared to the guys next door. Once you have that, it's pretty straightforward. But it's definitely a major goal. It's one that's normally held back by data quality issues, not by the technology of the platform, though there are stuff in there. Okay, but we should head back, and I think we could skip Texas today if we're going to come to you, Oleg, and have time for some more chats. So I'm back to you, and thanks a lot.
Great. Yeah, thanks a lot, Paul and Rufus, for that. If you're sure, Paul, Rufus, about skipping Texas,
Yeah, totally. I would like to have some time to talk about the charter and stuff, and we should hit time. So totally, I can talk about it next time. You know me.
Oh, listen, that's fine, and I'll do the same. Basically, I just have a really quick announcement that at the beginning of June, 5th and 6th of June, we're running Open Research Data Hack Days in Switzerland, in Zurich and in Lausanne, and we're pretty excited about it because we're launching a portal for Swiss universities to publish their data on, and the big thing for me there is how to teach people about data quality and data literacy, and I'm planning some workshops based off the School of Data model, and would love everyone's inputs. Just let me know if there's a lab project you'd like me to try during these hack days. If there's anything that you think would be a great data source, just reach out.
Okay.
I'll put the link into the Etherpad. And with that said, we're on to Friedrich. Friedrich, are you actually able to speak, or do you want someone to be your mouth?
Yeah, I did learn it a couple of years ago. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry, I feel bad if Rufus is killing his thing because of lack of time. And I just have like an ad hoc kind of fatwa that I'm running against this startup called What 3 Words. And basically what they do is they make a geographic coordinate system for the whole world, and they're basically trying to sell it to the development community. So basically every place in the world would have a 3-word address. And it's kind of nifty and it's fun, and the problem is it's closed and it's copyrighted. And it seems to me like it would be relatively easy to hack up a replacement for it and just kind of take the wind out of their sails and maybe force them to open it up and basically publish their word list and their algorithm. Because it's getting a lot of like TechCrunch attention right now, and I'm worried that some aid organization is actually going to adopt that shit and then end up with all these basically dunce identifiers in their development data. So I have zero knowledge of geographic reference systems. That's my problem.
I love it, and this is so much better than Texas discussion. Just so we won't look at it, because we can all look at it later and go and explore the website. What exact action are you like? What kind of, as it were, spontaneous demonstration of liberated geographic identifiers would you like to see happen? Because this seems. Yeah.
Anders is bringing the pitchforks. He's in Data Revolution Town. I can bring a list of all the English language words that have 3 to 5 characters. And I need someone who understands, for example, there's this thing called the military grid reference system or something. And I need someone to help me think through how you would transform that into words. It's kind of a compression task. Someone who has studied computer science, which I haven't.
I think you've got to post this on list. I don't think this is hard to do, because with 3 to 5 words should be easy. Anders has got the pitchforks, and what you need is this military grid reference system. And I get it. It's like pretty simple, right? That the way we we need to do it. But we need to think. This sounds like a fun mathematical problem. So I suggest let's hit up the labs list. Yeah. Okay, but I mean, so Oleg, back to you. Friedrich, this is a great intervention. Thank you. It never ceases to enliven this.
Thanks.
Yeah, awesome idea.
Awesome.
Still wrapping my head around it, but that'd be pretty cool. We had the chap with the doing the Oxford English Dictionary extraction last month, so he'd probably be quite interested too. So we're off. We're finished with the show and tell for today. Unless Matthew, hi Matthew, by the way, I see you just joined. If you want to quickly do a show and tell, you may.
If I want to what? Sorry, I didn't even know it was happening. I just saw an email and thought I.
No worries. We're all just sharing projects we're working on, putting in links of stuff we think is interesting, and if there's just an opportunity every month to spend a bit of time and catch up on everyone's activities.
Okay. No, I don't have too much to report. I spent a little bit of time on making bringing over someone else's interface for this text making tool, including getting text out of images. And now I see there's a nice theme I can use. So I'll have a go at adding that, a labs theme. And I played a little bit with Reply in the last week.
Can I say something? Matthew's being awesomely modest here, in that basically he's got a complete text extraction server running at Give Me Text. I think it's called Give Me Text at okfnlabs.org. You should drop the link in. I know when it's got a beautiful front page, we should demo it, Matthew. But it's really awesome. It's basically an API to Tesseract and Tika on the web. Give Me Text at okfnlabs.org. I do think we need a little bit of API documentation, but it's a little bit raw at the moment. But it's actually all the hard work's been done, Matthew, and it was an awesome job.
No, the reason I'm modest is that because the API, everything is from the Tika folks. It's just not particularly well documented from them, and not that easy to get up and running, and no one is really running public instances of it. So all I really did was get it up and running and stick it in a Docker image so that it was easy for people to get it up and running. Yeah, so that's why I don't take a whole lot of credit, but it's a nice service. We have one project in OKF in Germany that is using it quite heavily, because PDFs do come up that haven't been OCR'd or aren't digital PDFs. So it's the more people can try it out, the better.
Matthew, I just tried your proto app and I love it. Thank you. This is actually really useful.
Good.
So
that's good to hear.
Awesome.
Maybe I will also find some time to actually use it for what I wanted to use it for. We shall see.
Cool. Thanks for that. So, guys, let's move on to the current issues and operational updates. So, tech vision and roadmap for labs. Is that something that, Rufus, you want to share with us on your screen and take us through what's the latest and greatest in the tech vision department?
Okay, let me do that. Thank you. I mean, this is actually a suggestion a bit from Oleg last time. So this is the point of the call where we move from like people demoing projects to, more kind of labs, more like how should labs develop, and how can we make it more awesome and engage more people and build an army to liberate data around the world and make it useful. So if people can see my screen. Can everyone see my screen? Shout out that you can.
Yes, I can see it.
Great. So just the purpose of the document, you can forget at the moment we don't have nearly enough purposes. What technology we think should exist, why we want it to exist, and what specifically open knowledge labs should focus on, versus what others should focus on. So it's like three things. Like, what do we think in the big picture should exist that's missing? Why we want it? Maybe explain why to people we want it, and then what specifically. Now, to be clear, I'm explaining this. Obviously, labs is a loose collective. People come along, they can do what they like to a large extent. So, but I think it's not prescriptive. You can come and join in labs and do whatever you like. But I think having a shared vision of some kind, or some set of kind of we're going in this direction, means that people who come along who maybe, hey, I'd like to help out, can see where their stuff fits in. And it isn't as specific as a single project. It's bigger than that. It's about a vision of an ecosystem. But that it would be at that kind of intermediate point. And so at the moment, what we have here is, we want to make it easier to create and share insight from data and content. We want to collaborate around data and content in a distributed way. We want the protocols, infrastructure, and tools for this to be open. And so there's some stuff, and then there's some key principles. And at the moment, it's a very limited set of activities, partly because I think this is where people wanted to suggest. And one of the things is frictionless data. One of the things is creating high quality open data sets. But I don't know, one example that I would have just from today's call, from Friedrich's, for example, introduction, I'll just stop sharing for a moment, we'll just see yourselves. But from Friedrich's example, or other tooling that we've had, so Give Me Text. So one is about data sets and databases that we think should be open. That sometimes we should just have that list of like which are the really big significant ones. We don't necessarily going to work, labs not going to work on them, but which are these ones systemically? Maybe they're just random, or maybe they're not. The other thing I think about, I think about is the tooling, like Give Me Text. Like there is a suite of kind of wrangling tools that we'd like to see exist, and we could probably list those. There might be 30 or something, but what are the key wrangling tools we'd like to have that we'd like to see open and available to anyone in that way, and open source? And finally, I think there's something at the moment how data internet.
Rufus, we've lost your voice there. Can you just
operate a way? I think it's
Rufus. So your connection is jumping. So would you mind rephrasing?
I've switched off video for a moment.
Mm-hmm.
I think I'm done. So I'm back to you guys. I think that's enough for me to say. I hope most of it was caught. But my point, I don't know where I dropped out.
About the last 20 seconds or something.
That's fine. So I said these three areas: databases, kind of wrangling tooling, and the ability to interconnect and collaborate around data in a distributed way seem to be kind of three areas. And I think also last time people talked having a charter for labs, like having this more specified direction makes it more easy for us to kind of row together, even if we're working on individual projects. So that's it from me. That's all. That's the introduction.
I mean, to me, this really, this harkens back to communities have been in the past, like, Linux communities. People are trying to work on a distribution. They're all using the operating system in very different ways, but you have to have a forum. You have to work out common issues. And if you look at big open source communities like Apache or Debian or whatnot, you've got enormous amount of experience around processes and roadmaps. I'm wondering, Rufus, to what extent do you think Open Knowledge Labs needs as a concept, as an organization of sorts? Should it innovate, and where should we just take what works and not reinvent the wheel and just do it? Do you see any comparisons at all to I don't know, let's say the W3C or something like that?
I'm worried about I think the thing is I think we're much looser. We're like a loose collective, and like people can come in and work on whatever they like, along with the basic principles. But you can still it's not as architected. It's not like we have the architecture of the house. I think it's more like almost like the layout of a kind of park. Like it's more random. Like people can, a house is very structured, but you might say we're going to have like the swimming pool. This is the way we'd like a park. A park should have this much. Lakes and this much trees and so on, but people can go, these people want to go and build oak trees, that's great, and these people can, go and build the birdhouse on the lake or whatever. But that there is a kind of overhaul coherence that people can participate in. I mean, it's still open, and that's my, that was the thinking here. My one encouragement, maybe rather than this call, is also for people to take a look at that document and add their comments and suggestions. That and particularly about the concrete activities.
No, the point I actually wanted to make, Rufus, and last week someone reminded me, and I went and I looked through this old blog post of yours I already read years ago about the open data ecosystem, which I think was maybe one of the first times data packages was really became a term. I don't know, maybe it was early, maybe later. But the point is that this is the thing that's a little bit missing for me in the vision. You've got the point about frictionless data, like a bullet point at the bottom, but I mean, what exactly are we? What exactly do we have in common? I mean, technology-wise, are all the OKFN Labs projects, in your mind, modules of a system that can, someone can in an open source way pull together and build something?
No. Labs. I don't think Labs is that. It's a looser collective than that. It's like an artistic collective that shares a theme, but we're not all building the same artwork. No, people are building different tools and packages. I'd be scared of framing as producing ecosystem. I think that's a great point for you. I don't think it's producing an ecosystem. I think we're helping shape an ecosystem. The way that you participate in the world, like we're all in this, but how does the data or information and knowledge ecosystem we live in work? And so I think it's more like a theme. We're part of an artist collective, and there's some shared principles at the base, like we produce open stuff, but beyond that, people can work on their tool or their area of interest. But there might still be some common themes that people can link their work to, and people who don't know what they want to work on, but who come along and are enthusiastic, can be pointed in the direction of those particularly core things that are around that. That would be my sense. I don't know. I mean, I think we are quite loose, and that's really good. It's a loose affiliation. It's a collective rather than a corporation.
Well, it really appeals to me, Rufus. Thank you. I have to say that's quite awesome. I've been thinking a lot about these things recently as well. With the interplay of data and art and science. So, I mean, for me this resonates a lot. But I think for whatever collective, whatever structure, people just need to have clear reason for being a part of it and value adds, and definitely sharing projects and technology and code is important. And I think this vision is not a simple thing. You can't just define that in a document. It's not enough. You need to keep discussing it, keep pushing it, keep debating it. It needs to evolve with the times. So the fact that we're having these monthly meetings, I think, is a really great start. Next, you wanted to talk about extending the charter for labs. What's that all about?
I think just to say on this one, this was again a leftover from last time, and I didn't introduce. I think you introduced it last time. I'd be happy to skip this one. Also, I know we're very close to time, but we do need T-shirts. That's true. In fact, that would be my one question, which is the one thing I'd like to go to now is there anything that one of the things I would like to go to, I know we've lost Matt again, but is reaching out to other local groups. I've now got a list of labs leads that I can share. I'm just trying to find it actually. But I've now got coverage for about like 15 local groups, which is really good. But I think one of the things would be here a bit more of like, Dan Fowler's been doing an awesome job, but are there any particular tasks that would be really useful to bind people together a bit more? I think, for example, we did a great job last time, but these calls are great, and we can promote them a bit more effectively, particularly to local groups. I mean, obviously, Australia, it's a bit late in the day, but I think we could do, once I've got this list, next time we can hit it. And similarly, it was great to see the newsletter. Thank you so much, Paul, who stepped up and did the last newsletter. And it's really, we've got a simple system. But these kind of things are just ways that also people start kind of tuning in a bit. And also the thing that I'd encourage people to email the labs list a bit more. I think it's gone quite a bit quiet. People should feel bold about sharing like what 3 words or other stuff like that. I think that's really sparks a lot of discussion and would be really nice. I just want to kind of encourage that. So a couple of things for next month, the next hangout and the next newsletter would be really, really, really awesome. Yeah, I forgot where we are.
Just a small comment about local groups, like just mostly from my interaction with what's happening in Australia. I guess I think you're aware of it, Rufus, but it's interesting that it just seems a lot of people aren't really aware that labs exists, and that's one point.
Yeah.
Number two, that there might be kind of tooling and stuff that can help with their own data wrangling projects and stuff. So I don't know what the solution for it is, but I've noticed that as an issue, like definitely when I've been talking about stuff with people in Australia. So, and I don't think the Hangouts are the solution actually, because especially because of time. No. But maybe it's not a charter either, but maybe some type of like clear entry point or clear. I don't know actually. I'm not sure exactly what it is.
But let's just take a moment on that. Does anyone have any ideas how because obviously people have got to get something for themselves. Like they've got to. What is it that would engage them? Like what? Right now, one could. Is it just we've now got these contact points? We can email them. What is it? Because I think you're right. Like I don't always, unless I go to Open Knowledge Germany, I often don't find out what's going on. And there's a whole bunch of cool stuff going on locally. Now people are just really busy. What would they get out of sharing or learning? Maybe T-shirts is the answer. I don't know. If anyone has any thoughts.
I got two ideas just quickly. One is one that I mentioned last time. The Open Data Handbook has just gone live yesterday with their version 2.0. It's an awesome effort, and it's something I think that labs could help quite a lot with by complementing it in the sense of, here's some great standards, here's some tools, and just promote visibility of this, the resource library and so on within tech circles especially, because people might look at it and at first glance they think, oh, this is basic stuff, but there's a lot of depth to it, especially in the new version. And the other thing is mentorship. Together with Christian and a couple of other people, Christian Willem, we had developed this idea for a mentorship program at Open Knowledge last year, and we never managed to get it launched. Like we had it all set up. So if we have these local labs leads, and we have the people who are labs members already, and we can sort of at least quietly try, very like low key try proposing that potentially these might be experts you could bring in to do a talk. Mentor some team even within a completely corporate commercial context or whatever. It doesn't have to be hack days or whatnot.
Yeah.
Just the possibility.
I think this is fantastic.
Mm-hmm. And also between ourselves. I mean, if we engaged more with each other on a regular basis, that would be a huge boon to the members directly.
So one thing I could do there, I love seeing people on IRC. I think it's got a bit quiet on HashiCorp. I don't mind. I don't want what the suggestion is, but okay, I think it's a great thing. So one is a very concrete thing, which is the handbook, and the other is we now have these people we can
connect.
We can connect to. I've now got. I just checked. I've got 17 people nominated. 16 people nominated. Including you, Oleg. So I'm really starting to get a few set of people, which is really useful. And I think once we could ask them, we could even do a small survey. Like, I just like to know, do they know that labs exist? Do they know what it does? Do they know what happens? It's, I don't know. I think it's an interesting answer is probably no from what Paul says. And what the question then would be, what would they want? Like, because the only reason is people are busy. What is it that would be really exciting or fun to them? I think the other thing is fun. What's really, I get so much, I'm unusual, but I get so much fun out of these things. But it makes a really big difference to me. I just want to say this to you guys, seeing you and having this chat once a month, it really makes, or when I see people like Friedrich occasionally on IRC or whatever, it really makes a difference sharing what you get to do. It's so much nicer, and that's really makes a difference to me. And I think it does to other people, just like, I don't know, Friedrich even like getting a bit of Friedrich's what 3 words and the Friedrich perspective on life really makes it really it's really fun. It's really you've got there's a lot of humor and and other things in it. It really, I just think that kind of stuff really makes a difference. I think that's what we can offer also other people. If they love, people like connecting and sharing what they're doing, and I'm not sure they realize they can as much as is possible at the moment. But okay, I have to keep thinking, and I do like the mentorship scheme. I think that's a great idea.
Let me see if I can follow up on that next month and propose something a bit more concrete. So we're out on the hour, and I'm wondering if anybody has kind of last comments and thoughts. I do need to drop off.
None here, and I have to drop too, Oleg. So, for me, no further. Thank you so much. I want a testimony to you specifically, and acknowledge you, Oleg. You've put again together the call. I know it doesn't take long, but thanks to your efforts, we've had this chat today. Other people will watch the video. The one last time was great. So thank you. It really is fantastic. Thank you so much. And and we're moving it forward.
Well, the Hangout on Air is already set up for next month, so we'll be able to start right on the hour on the 17th of June. Sorry, 18th of June. So see you next month.
Great.
Thanks. See you all later.
next month.
Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.